evening, everybody. Welcome to the Carver Conservation Commission meeting for Wednesday, May 17th, 2023. We'll get right down to business. The first order of business under discussions in business is a request to place a geocache on the Cole property.
I'll speak for the lady that put the request. It's this email. It's the only one that's an email I gave you guys. Geocache, if you don't know, is just like a little Tupperware container, and they throw some trinkets in it, and you get an app for your phone, and you go play treasure hunting. And they're all over the country. And what they want to do is they want to go out and hide one out in the Cole property trails, so people can go find it. When you find it, you get a point.
Okay, just one.
Yeah. But the geocache people need permission, see it from us written, that it's okay to put it out there.
Will they give us a hint where they hit it?
No, it's going to cost us.
God, you can't make this stuff up.
No, you cannot.
There was a thing on an app, like maybe 2 years ago. I have no idea what it was, but a neighbor of ours was always parked in the parking lot. And this was supposedly a hotspot to find whatever the hell it was they were looking for. So they would park out here till they got like the next order to go somewhere else. It was just, I don't even remember what it was.
It could be something like what this is.
Okay. Does that need a motion? God, I hope
Yes, it
not.
does, and you guys have to vote, approve or disapprove.
Just get the okay from the chair. I don't want to be part of this.
You can always vote no. I will entertain a motion to allow a geocache on the Cole.
I move we approve this geocache.
Second.
Second? All right.
Second.
Seconded by Curtis. We have a motion and a second to allow a geocache, one geocache on the Cole property.
To amend that motion,
Yes.
we charge them $5,000 for the use of the property.
Amendment not allowed.
That's right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
301. The motion passed.
Yeah, we just got to stop this ridiculousness.
You have to bring some more people to the polls up there. So, okay, that's that. Next up on our discussion and business is 318 Tremont Street. Construction performed beyond the order of conditions, SE 126628. I think, Mr. Germain, you were on the board when this was first.
Every day I drive by.
Okay. So if you recall, there was incursion into the 65-foot of pavement.
Yep.
On October 6th of 2021, we had the engineer from 318 Tremont Street come in to address the issue. And the minutes from that meeting say what was agreed to. Site work will be required to regrade some of the area when concrete is removed and will potentially revegetate the same way as the other side of the building. The pavement will be removed using a saw cut on the southern boundary back to the original pavement, proposing a split rail fence and proposing a loam and seed mix, erosion control seed mix. Mr. Germain asked if 5 signs could be added along the split rail fence on the easterly side, noting the wetland area. This will be added to the order of conditions. Motion to close the hearing made by Mr. Nowen, seconded by Mr. Germain, approved unanimously, 5-0-0. Motion to approve the revised plan, again, made by Mr. Germain, seconded by Mr. Blackwell, unanimously. And a motion to approve the variance was also approved unanimously. And
Along with the order of conditions.
along with the order of conditions, and along with a signed plan
That is correct.
from the engineer, which was signed by the engineer as the agent of the applicant. So, the pavement has not been cut back. There is not a split rail fence there.
That whole property is being used.
Yep. There is a chain link fence with barbed wire across the top
That's right. And a gate.
and a gate. The gate is outside of our jurisdiction. The only area that's within our jurisdiction is within 65 and 100 feet. So we approved a notice of intent with order of conditions and a sign drawing, and none of the work has been done. So, gentlemen, I know you're here. If you would like to come up and speak regarding,
You can sit at that table.
Yeah,
Sign in,
please sign
sign in
in.
the clipboard, no problem.
but that's where we stand on this right now.
Just, my name's Ben Bryant with RW Bryant Contract, and I'm the vice president. And appreciate everybody taking the time to hear us out on this particular matter. When we moved into the property and went through these changes, we were under the impression, based on the paperwork that we had received, that we had a 3-year allowance to complete the work, and it hasn't even been a full 2 years. Would that make sense, or would you agree?
I will agree sort of in principle. The notice of intent is generally given prior to work being done. This was in fact an after-the-fact notice of intent because we had to tell you that you couldn't do what you've already done. So really, when a notice of intent is given in the proper manner, it is basically an agreement that you can proceed with work that is needed to be done. And that lasts for 3 years. If you don't start work within 3 years, you have to reapply for a notice of intent. That's what the 3 years are. So in my opinion, it's a stretch to say to correct an error also has to say 3-year timeline, but it's not written anywhere that that's the case. So if you want to say that 3 years is if you're going to get it removed by the 3-year date and make everything right, then I suppose that there's not much we can do about that.
Oh, there's everything we can do about it. Excuse me.
Go right
I
ahead.
definitely don't want to extend it to 3 years.
I don't want it extended 30 days. Here's the thing. When a notice of intent is bare land, so you come in with a notice of intent, show us what you want to do, we issue whatever variances are needed, yes. Now you have the 3-year time frame to get that completed. This is an after-the-fact notice of intent, which means you've already broken the law. Now you came to us and asked us to let you get away with it. So we gave you the variance. That means that the work that was required to be done in the order of conditions is forthwith, in my view, Mr. Chairman. This is after the fact. You already broke the law. So now we're trying to make it right. We give you the variance, and that's designed to get you going and get this done the way we asked you to get it done. This doesn't give you 3 years to go and mess around with it. I was under the impression, the night that we signed this order, that this work was going to be done pretty much forthwith. That was the indication given to us, by the way, if we go back and view the video. There was never any conversation about, yeah, we'll get to it someday.
I agree with that. That was the assumption, that it was, there was remorse on the part of the applicant or his engineer saying that, yes, we know we did wrong, we'll fix this right away.
The right of way is in 3 years from now.
Well, granted. So, what is the pleasure of the board? Does anybody else have any comments on this?
Since they weren't involved.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's down for them.
Savory.
Yes.
I have something. When do you plan on starting the project, if we may ask?
We would, we would get started right away on it. And to be honest with you, we were just basing it off of the paperwork that we have. We didn't mean to insult anybody or anything like that. Just said 3 years, so we thought that we had a provision time frame where we could get it taken care of. Within the time since this has happened, the original property, if you looked at it, the driveway was pretty beat up. The property itself was pretty beat up. And there was absolutely no berm at all that protected that wetlands. So right here, you would have experienced runoff going into the canal, which is a big part of this discussion. Furthermore, Tremont Street is 12 feet away from this canal, and there's also two roadways. The one on our side, the roadway in between our property, that roadway is 10 feet from the canal, and on the opposing roadway, right here, it's 6 feet away from the canal. So this canal is surrounded by 3 different driveways, if you will. We extended it 10 feet, but in my argument, we actually increased the protection to that wetlands because we put in a berm system, and we also made sure that it graded and sloped towards Tremont Street. In addition, here's proof of the berming that was never there prior to us moving in. And we also have multiple locations where the runoff goes onto Tremont Streets and falls into catch basins that are, for that exact reason. Proof of it. And right now, if you even look at this picture, I have a better one in here. These were all taken today, by the way, so you guys can see where it stands today. This is the front line in front of Tremont Street. You can see how much grass is really there and it's planted and it's catching a lot of the runoff before it even makes it onto Tremont Street. So, in our opinion, although we extended it 10 feet, and we did that for our staff, and it's not just about us, it's about the community. We employ almost 100 people, families. We care about them a lot. The big thing for us is it's 10 feet of parking, and parking's hard to come by, and that's a big thing for us, and we were just hoping that would be some grace or understanding that if you went out there and looked at it, it would be very hard to argue or to prove that anything has happened, that any runoff has compromised pH levels in that canal system that wouldn't already have been compromised by Tremont Street runoff. Again, it's almost 4 times the distance from our edge of our parking lot, which is burned, than what Tremont Street's distance is to that canal. Here's a picture of Tremont Street in regards to the canal that we're all discussing. So with the added berm, the slope towards Tremont Street, the provision drainage systems that run into these catch basins, we feel like although we extended it 10 feet, we also increased the protection to that wetlands. If you went out there right now and looked at it as a reasonable, fair individual, I would find it very hard to argue that there's any genuine runoff going from our parking lot down into the canal. So we also have our own independent drainage system over there. Even if you look at these plans, this is a whole drainage system that we have on our property that's not deemed wetlands. So our runoff goes either into here or onto Tremont Street. We have never, I've been there for almost 2 years now, I study it like a book. I've never ever seen any water go over that berm and flush down and into that canal. It doesn't happen, it doesn't exist. There's a lot of vegetation that's already grown back. So as much as we made some moves, that were pertinent to business, and we didn't mean to disrespect and will honor fully, fairly, and in good faith, we ask that this could be looked at a little differently and possibly give us a wave of responsibility in regards to having to cut our parking lot that we've been open and running business and providing commerce for the local communities for going on 2 years now successfully. So in regards to the extension of the parking lot, we may have extended it 10 feet more, but we increased the protection. And also, based on the 65-foot buffer zone, the prior owner of that property was already in breach of that. He was only 57 feet and 3 inches away with his. So it becomes somewhat of a moot argument when we're discussing this 65-foot buffer zone because it was never even met by the prior owner of the property. So with fair reason, we ask you guys to allow us our 10 parking spaces, not for my father and I, but for our staffing, so we can implore people, put bread on people's table, and be good people to the community.
So you're telling us to ignore our ordered conditions?
I'm asking you to,
We're asking for grace.
yeah.
This should have been done 2 years ago when your engineer signed the papers. You had
We didn't even get a chance to sign them, or we weren't even fully understanding of what was going on, and I'm not trying to
We
use.
pushed that, and I didn't even know.
Yeah, we're not sure.
Did you
could have
hire
come in
him?
for an amended order, or you could have come in to appeal.
And we thought that we still had appropriate statute of time to do so.
But what difference would that have made? You still want the 10 feet of parking space. Wouldn't matter if you'd gone 3 years or 5 years. You had no intention of doing anything to that parking lot. You had an order of conditions. You all signed off on it. You all knew what it was. Now suddenly you want to be good neighbors and you're an employer. So you want to leave the 10 feet in there and ignore the order. You already put pavement where there never was pavement before. That first building on the northbound side never had pavement behind it. I see that it's paved. There was a lot of pavement added to that building, those two buildings. I was in those two buildings before you bought them.
Okay.
So I know what was on that property. We had gone over to that site before they bought it.
Yep.
They agreed to remove and put back a pervious, a non-pervious, an impervious surface.
Right.
And take out some asphalt. Now they want to secure parking spaces. So let's just, why even bother? Let's just let them do whatever they want. Is that what we're going to come down to? Because that's a waste of our time on this board.
Well, there are a couple of things that I want to say, and I agree with what you're saying. Number one, you bring up a point about runoff, that you've diverted the runoff down to Tremont Street. The reason the 65-foot buffer zone is there is so that there is no runoff at all. Is that the water that comes, when it rains, goes into the soil and goes down, straight down. Runoff is not the issue. It is the ability of the ground to not have an impervious surface on it. And that's what our bylaw states for the variance, that there should be no structures or impervious surfaces within 65 feet without a variance. You came to us for that variance, we denied it, we made you go back to not the 65 feet, but according to the order of conditions, back to the original pavement. So what was there before is what we asked you to go to. So from the standpoint of grace, there is no grace. I'm sorry to say that, but this is, you came to us with after you had done something that was illegal, you came to us, we asked you to change it, you agreed to change it 2 years ago, and thus far you haven't. And this is just about the pavement, where we still have to talk about the fence. You know, if every ruling that we give in this committee doesn't happen for 2 years, and then the person comes back and says, I don't want to do it, or I want grace, there's no reason for us to sit at this table.
I don't know if everybody has as good of an argument as ours. And again,
You don't have a good argument.
well, you continue to batter me, if you will, on the timing here, but we literally have in writing a 3-year time frame. So how am I being put? I understand that we should have gone about it a better way.
All right.
And you learn lessons,
Mr.
but at the same
All right.
token,
Yes.
it said 3 years, and that's all I'm trying to say.
Okay,
And
Chair.
you go over there and look at it, there's no,
I have a
nothing's
copy
running off.
of the order in front of me.
All right, hold on.
Excuse me a minute. As shown on the plan, the strip of pavement on the southerly side of the site within the 65-foot buffer shall be removed and seeded with an erosion-controlled conservation seed mix and is to remain in its natural state. Now, you go around, you point the 3-year thing. Following the completion of the project, to which it has not been completed, applicants shall submit a request for certificate of compliance within 3 years of the completion of the project. We gave you an after-the-fact NOI. That didn't mean you could start this in 2 years and 11 months and then come to us in the 3rd year and look for a COC. That was never the intent.
Okay.
Your engineer knew that fully. The entire board that voted on it that night fully all knew it. Everybody knew it, and everybody signed the plan.
We didn't.
You hired an engineer.
Your
You weren't
engineer
here
did.
that night, that's not our problem.
If you hired that engineer, he is acting in effect as your signatory.
He's on your behalf.
That's,
Thank you.
any court of law is going to say that, so don't go there. When was the,
Wetland plaque on the split rail fence on the east side, signed by me, signed by JC Engineering, and then everybody else on the committee. And this was signed on 10/6/21. J.C. Engineering signed off on the plan.
On your
Is
behalf.
the split rail fence a requirement?
Absolutely. It says wetland plaque on the split rail fence on the east side.
That's handwritten on
And
the
it's
plan with his
handwritten and
signature right
J.C.
under it.
signed it.
With the respects to us removing that portion of the parking lot in honor of, your directive. If we remove that portion of the parking lot and place all the required shrubbery, the grass that you guys would like to see for erosion control, would you be reasonable with us putting in boulders opposed to a split rail fence? Would it be okay for us to have boulders that will completely stop
You
any
apply for a
activity?
modification of this original order of conditions.
Okay. And the same thing on the split rail fence in the rear, if it would be okay with you guys, honor the shrubbery, grass, all that, and that we could put boulders opposed to the split rail fence. And we, as you asked.
Listen, I get why you want a fence around the whole place. Your trucks have stuff in it. I understand you want to secure the site. I personally don't have a big problem with a fence around the whole place. I'm simply telling you what this said. If you want to modify that to go from a split rail fence to a chain link fence that is currently in place, I personally have no problem with it, because I know the value of the equipment that's in those trucks. You park them outside, you never know who's coming in from what angle. I'm assuming the place got video cameras, but that's all after the fact if we can find the thief. So I understand that, and I have no big problem with it. Split rail fences don't do much to keep people out, so I get it. Perhaps this commission would maybe consider, I don't know, I can't even see the need for a critter fence, because why would they want to go in there? It's pavement.
We have an infestation of mice in our building.
You
We have
know,
no problem with the fence.
I'm simply trying to say that I'm trying to see that there's a business side of it, and I get it, okay? I'm not trying to be the bad guy here. And I have no issue with them securing their property. They got trucks, the trucks have a lot of stuff in them, and the equipment that's in those trucks costs a ton of money.
It's not
So
the
I get
equipment in
it.
the trucks, the equipment in the warehouses, over $20 million Comcast.
I have no doubt in my mind that you're absolutely correct, especially today. So the more secure, the better for me, but I'd like to see the asphalt cut back and go with the original plan.
Well, the original plan has a split rail fence. I personally don't have an issue with boulders replacing that, if that,
They're not gonna keep people out, though. The whole idea is to keep people out of that lot. That's why there's a gate in the front. I don't blame them.
then it should have been on here 2 years
So I
ago.
thought the split rail fence was to kind of keep people away from the protected area. Just so I get better clarification, I didn't see a removal of the fence, but just to raise it up for critters. And I thought the split rail fencing was more
To keep
so
it from
to
going
keep,
into the
amen,
wetlands.
get people away from this protected
really
area.
what I was
So if we put some boulders there, no trucks would be going over there, people wouldn't be bothering that area. We would honor that, and again, putting some shrubbery in behind that for further, protections, if you will. Cut it back as has been agreed upon. We'll remove that section of the parking lot, and we'll go for a proper modification onto the plan, requesting boulders. We don't mind raising the fence here and there. We do have areas of the fence that are already at about 9 inches of separation from the ground. This picture was, again, taken today, just to kind of show that. So
That's for the animals.
we do have a big contest with mice infestation and crickets and all
Coming
that.
coming off the bog, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. We're surrounded by bogs.
I didn't think it was back here. It's not.
No, this is the canal, right?
Yeah, but I thought it was more here, see this, the offset. See how they had paved, that we were cutting that back, just that little bit.
It's in this corner. In this corner, where they went right up to the.
You don't mean to keep you guys out of them when we were.
No, I know.
No, it's just-
Well,
So, give us.
The map that we have doesn't have the full.
It's this.
That's what I thought, that's this.
No. Oh, yes,
This
you're
is
right.
the
I'm sorry.
map.
I'm sorry, you're right.
Of course I'm right.
Yeah, of course, you're right. I'm looking at the wrong way. Yes, you're right, it's here.
Right side of the building.
My wife hates that when that happens to you.
So the contention is
No, the convention was this.
that not
It
back
was
here?
never this.
It was never that.
It was this. There was the 65, and they had brought pavement, and they were gonna cut out that little strip of it, and I think we were, even had discussed allowing them to put some reprocessed in there, so you'd go from the hot top to a permeable surface, so
I don't think that was on.
I thought that was in the order, I thought that we had allowed it. Or if it wasn't, it was in the...
No, I think that we had asked them to put bushes and shrubs back in.
We asked for the fence on the southerly and easterly side to be 6 to 8 inches above the ground for wildlife, shrubs. They did allow drainage swale riprap trench to be constructed as shown.
Yeah, that's right, where we have our little drainage.
I mean, it wasn't a long order of conditions,
No, but it was to cut the pavement back to the original.
but it was only on this side, and it was only a little bit.
It was
10 feet.
65 feet by 11.
Yeah.
It's 10 to 11 feet. So we'll just, respectfully collapse those parking spaces, work through the work.
Have your engineer look at this
Yeah, we'll do.
and do a revised, a request for a change of the order of conditions, and see about, I don't know what your feelings are on this, but if they took the asphalt out and get rid of that solid surface, I wouldn't have a problem with them keeping those parking spaces, but putting in some, either, you wouldn't want gravel, but put in some reprocessed, and if you roll it, it'll still give you a base that will drain. And it won't cost them the parking spaces.
Like the pea stone, like pea stone.
A little bit bigger of a crush.
Pain in the ass to plow, but other than that,
Exactly.
it
Drop
solves a
the drag.
couple of, it kills a couple of birds with one stone.
I have a gravel driveway, hardly anything gets through that anymore.
Well, if they use pea stone, then
I
they
get
don't.
that piece stone, and, the driveway's 30 years old, and it's as hard as concrete.
About 3/4 inch crushed stone.
Yeah. Eventually, it's used every day and parked on it every day. It's gonna, I don't, I want that to go back to nature, where those parking lots are, because that's what was agreed to. That was the discussion. and
Well, it
that
is what was agreed to.
Agreed to.
I can't argue with
As
that.
far as the fence is concerned, I am amenable to,
I don't have a problem with the chain link around the whole thing, if you can make it so it's some critter area.
I would, if the bottom, if you can either raise it up a foot and put 6 inch by 4 inch,
Drop it down a little, no problem.
or just cut the bottom foot off and replace it
Well,
with.
we only required 6 to 8 on the order.
We
of
do have
conditions.
some areas that are already meeting that and
Right.
exceeding that.
Yeah, a place
But
like the gate, it's
I
about
mean-
this wide, you can just walk right in.
Yeah, but I mean, we generally require or ask for 6 inch by 4 inch square, which allows animals through, it won't let
We had a
people.
turtle in the shop yesterday.
What's that?
I had a turtle in the shop yesterday, give you a picnic road.
So, but we only,
Well, then that's,
we only asked for original 6 to 8 inches off the bottom, so, you know.
No problem.
yeah.
But I have no problem with securing the site with a chain link fence.
I understand that part of it as
If it was
well.
my business, I'd electrify the thing, so I get it.
So would you want him to come in and amend the order?
I did.
Yes.
All right, so just have your engineer come in with an amendment.
No, we'll cut the asphalt.
Cut the parking
We'll cut
lot.
the-
Yeah,
Right, for the- I mean, for the fence.
And adjust the fence.
Yeah.
Boulder protection, we'll get that 6 to 8 inches.
Yeah, and the parking lot where you need to cut that pavement away should go back to natural, it's natural.
No problem.
I'm sorry about your parking spaces, but, that's.
Make it work.
So
The
they'll,
fence
You come with,
so they'll park on the grass.
No, they won't park there at all. That's why we're talking about putting the rocks there, so they shouldn't park there.
if, the reason that you came in the first place is that we knew what you had done was wrong, based on where it was in relationship to the canal. The other two roads that you mentioned that are parallel to your property going towards the back are both dirt roads. They're not paved, so there's no issue there with impervious surface, which is,
Could we leave it dirt?
hmm?
When we cut the parking lot, could we leave it dirt? Just park in the dirt?
Those roads were there probably before there was a conservation commission, so they would probably be grandfathered in.
What roads?
The ones that go,
Out of
one
the
that
back.
goes back to
The
the,
concrete pad.
no, these are
On the
outside
other
the
side?
property.
This is the
Oh,
road.
oh,
They
oh,
go
oh.
back
They
to,
go back to Black River's property over there.
Pine Gate. Pine Gate
There's
renewal.
a cell tower back there and everything. This is the road that's in between the canal and our
Right.
property.
Right, but I mean, that's,
That's actually being used as, that's an access road.
Exactly, bog access.
yeah.
That's fine.
So, no, I'd like to have that go back, you know, we're giving a little bit on the fence.
Okay.
We're allowing you to keep the
It's
chain
reasonable, I
link.
got you.
Even though that your approved, your signed drawings does say with split rail.
Yeah, but let them put in a modification for the order of conditions to remove the word split rail and
Yeah.
we'll modify it back into.
Right,
just
but I would like to
the-
see, but as it said here, the pavement will be removed using a saw cut on the southern boundary back to the original pavement.
Yeah.
And then that area, we would want plantings and grasses and maybe some boulders to
Make it
keep
look
people
good.
from parking there.
We'll use it as an.
We're not trying to
experiment.
give you the bad time. It's
Okay,
not,
that's
it's,
what I thought.
we're not after you. We've been getting so much more of this after the fact stuff. So we give variances, we give approvals, and then something different gets built. And then all of a sudden, we become the bad guys 2 years from now, and we try to sit back and say, well, why did you do it this way? Well, you know, we didn't know, we're sorry, blah, blah, blah. And it negates the, why even bother having the commission? I mean, at this point, you might as well just go to the selectmen, get a variance and call it a day. And we're trying to avoid that. We're not trying to make you the scapegoat of it all. We understand that you employ a lot of people in this town, we appreciate that. You got a great looking place, the building looks fantastic, I go by it 8 times a day. The place looks good, it's always neat as a pin. I have no problem with the way you conduct that operation in there at all.
But again, you know, what we survive on here as a commission is precedent. If we say one thing to one person, we have to say the same thing to everybody.
I know how it
So,
goes.
in this particular case, I think we're being quite lenient in coming to a compromise after the fact. But again, 2 years ago, your engineer, as your voice, agreed to what was on these plans. And that's what we voted on. And had you come to us originally with plans to put in a chain link fence and a driveway that close to the canal, we probably would have said no.
It's okay. Fair enough. Appreciate you guys' time.
I think you
We'll
need
get
to
on it
have
right
a
away.
conversation with your engineer though, because they
Yeah,
should have
yeah.
notified this of you, he should have notified you of this. Like I said, we have everybody sign off. When you come in with your requested change, well, again, you should attend that night, because we're gonna ask you to sign off on that. So that, you know, this is the reason we do it now, so that 2 years later, we have the copy that everybody signs, so no one can say, well, that's not the plan we presented. Well, this is the plan you signed.
It's all good.
So it makes life easy for us, and it makes it easy for you. It makes it much, I think it's fair all the way around.
Much respected.
Appreciate it very much. We'll jump on it right away as far as removing that section.
Okay.
Perfect. And if you get the request in fast enough, we can get you back here in a couple of weeks.
We'll get on the gas
Right.
pedal.
And we're gonna ask for it to be done pretty quickly.
That's all becoming
Deal.
away.
Yeah, because you want, you know, you got the 3 years, but everything should be healed before the 3 years are up. That's the whole.
That's why we're on it now.
Right.
Okay.
That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, then, Mr. Fluffy.
All right. We have 2 COCs.
Okay. First COC is gonna be for, DEP number SE 126-469. GF Engineering, I don't think anyone's here for that, so I can speak for them. None of the work was done under the order. So
What's the address?
it is off Federal Road.
Oh, I love those addresses.
It's a big, huge property off Federal Road. I think it's, the front part of it's like number 46, if I remember right. And they didn't do anything. Engineer from GAF signed off on it saying none of the work was even started or completed, so that check box. So there's no as-built plan or
Is that
anything.
Makepeace?
Yeah, they just want to close the file because it's almost a 10-year-old file.
Okay,
As long as you get
So
the
that's-
compliance certificate.
They're just,
Nothing was done.
right.
they're just doing house cleaning, that's all.
Okay,
Well, I guess I'm gonna ask a stupid question. How do we give a compliance certificate if there was no work before?
Because there's a checkbox on the compliance saying it's an invalid, it's an invalid order because none of the work was done.
So,
rather than invalidate it, we issue a COC?
That says none of the work was done.
course they
There's
don't.
actually a checkbox for that.
Of course they would do it that way.
TEP?
So definitive.
Okay, I'll entertain.
I'll make a motion. We approve the COC for SE 126469 somewhere on Federal Road.
We have a second.
Second.
All right, Dave seconded. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the COC for SE 126-469, 0 Federal. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. It's approved 4-0-0.
The other one the same thing?
The other one's for Makepeace, same property. It's order of conditions that was filed about 5 years later in 2017. They never did the work on it. Same thing, GAF Engineering signed off on it, declaring that none of the work was done. But to close it out, we have to go through this process.
Make a motion, we approve COC for SE 126542, again, somewhere on Federal Road.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's Dave seconded. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the COC for 126542. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
For the record, it's map 131, lot 2-4.
Okay,
So amended.
so, all right. So,
For both.
all right, it's 4-0-0.
Put that in the minutes, Ash, please.
What is that?
Just that it was amended to give the,
Put that map
map
and
and
lot
lot
number.
number.
Tell her that again.
Sure. This is for both of them. It'll be, it's map 131, lot 2-4. Yep.
Okay.
All right, we'll get to the minutes
Got that later.
later. Next up, new public hearings. First up is 134 Main Street, NOI DEP SE. Hmm?
Oh,
That's the
back.
minutes. SE 126661. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MDL Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, citation 9.2, that a public hearing will be held at 7:00 p.m. on Wednesday, May 17th, in meeting room number 1 at the Carver Town Hall, to hear the notice of intent submitted by Gregory Plummer for the construction of a detached garage associated with an existing single-family home in a previously developed portion of the property, and a mitigation area within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland and the 200-foot riverfront area. The project work is also within the 65-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland and bordering land subject to flooding protected under the Carver bylaw and will require a variance from the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw. The project is located at 134 Main Street, Carver, Massachusetts, map 104, lot 2.0 R. All interested parties are invited to attend. Gentlemen.
Good evening, members of the commission. I'm Brad Holmes with ECR on behalf of Greg Flama for his property at 134 Main Street. I just handed out just 11 by 17 that we have a color rendering. It helps a little bit. The site plan that's in front of you is hopefully a little clearer if you need it. We've submitted a notice of intent for a proposed garage at Greg's property at 134 Main Street. That's his residence, and maintains that property for his family. The property contains the South Meadow Brook, so we've flagged the annual high water line of the perennial stream, and with that comes a 200-foot riverfront area. We've also delineated the limit of the bordering vegetated wetland. That's the A series wetland line, and with that comes the 100-foot buffer zone. So the property is fully within the conservation jurisdiction. Great, thank you. We've submitted a proposal for a garage. We originally submitted this a few months ago for a garage that was 780 square feet. We did propose mitigation at a 2-to-1 ratio because in accordance with the riverfront redevelopment regulations, if we're adding new degraded area to the lot, we have to compensate with a 2-to-1 ratio of plantings. Even though this garage is going over the existing the riverfront redevelopment, there was any scrutiny. So since that original notice of intent submittal, we've reduced the size of the garage from 780 square feet to 696 square feet because it would have required a zoning review. So now that we're under that requirement, we're able to come back to the commission and the proposed garage at 696 square feet is within the general footprint we proposed before, about 84 feet from the BBW and about 103 feet from the perennial stream. We kept the mitigation area the same as 2-to-1 to that original garage. I know the commission was able to get out today to take a look at the site. I wasn't able to attend it. But in general, it's a riverfront redevelopment project that you'd be most concerned with because it's within the 100 to 200 foot riverfront. We're outside the setbacks to the wetland that the commission would look for. So with that, I'll take any questions you have.
I didn't make the visit. Can you give me an idea of where this is on Main Street?
It's right at the corner of Meadow, South Meadow. It's across from Eagle Gas.
Oh, okay.
I've been there before.
Yep.
All right, before we move on this, I'm going to read from the minutes of November 18th, 2020, the approved minutes from our meeting of that evening. And appointments, discussions, your name, sir, is on here. And it says Gregory Plummer, activities at 134 Main Street. Brooke shared a copy of the site plan of this property. Brooke explained that there was a call made about something going on at this property. There was a site visit. The property owner was invited tonight to explain what it is he wants to do. He shared that he has some goats on the property. There was some equipment and a boat on the property. Once the commission heard this information and did the site walk, they were in a position to help guide the property owner on what may be needed in order for him to continue working on the property. Brooke has a plan for the septic repair and asked him to look at it. Mr. Moore explained the Massachusetts bylaws and the town bylaws. What has been done recently, already, is in violation of the bylaws and a variance is needed. He will need a notice of intent, which he can do with the help of Brooke, and a new drawing would be needed by a surveyor. He would also need an after-the-fact NOI to see if a variance will be granted. We can find no record of this after-the-fact NOI being filed.
I don't know. Can you explain that to me?
This has to do with all the clear cutting that you did going down towards the riverbank that we talked to you about on November 18th of 2020.
Yeah, so I had cut down some trees further up my parking lot where I parked my truck, where I have some sheds right now, and one of the neighbors called. So I had met with you, explained where the trees were, and I thought we were good with that. And I know that I expressed to you that I wanted to use the property, to park equipment or my truck down there. And I think you said you requested if I wanted to, do anything different than I was already doing, than to get an engineered plan. But I thought I was all set with I thought that was kind of the end of it, unless I wanted to build a garage, And then actually a couple months later, I called Brooke because I wanted to cut down some more trees.
Yes, and those were...
I was actually telling Brad some more are dying now. I didn't realize those, they eat the bark. And
Right.
Like it takes years.
We allowed you to
Eventually,
take-
a big maple tree will die.
Yeah, that was in April of 2021, and we
Yes.
allowed you to take those trees because we saw that they were a danger to your home.
Yeah,
But
that was the second one.
Yeah.
Second meeting.
Yeah, but that was irrespective of this. I'll read part of this again.
Excuse me, mister, do you want me to give him a copy of?
I guess I just don't
This-
understand what it means and what I was supposed to do. I didn't think I was supposed to do anything. I thought.
Here's what it says. I'll say it again. This is from our minutes, and we can look at the, Area 58 has the video, I'm sure, of the meeting. We can go back and find exactly what was said. But the minutes state, what has been done already is in violation of the bylaws and a variance is needed. he, meaning you, will need a notice of intent, which he can do with the help of Brooke, and a new drawing will be needed by the surveyor. He would also need an after-the-fact notice of intent to see if a variance will be granted. That is for the work that was done downslope up to your fenced property line. Because there was clearing of that, all the underbrush, you left some of the trees, some of the higher trees, but when we were there again, it's still that, there's almost 60 feet of gravel driveway. Just so you know, these are aerial photos from 2010 and 2018. And you can see here, I believe you bought your house in 2011?
Yeah, in 2011. No, I understand.
All of this was forested area.
Right.
It's not anymore.
Right.
And that's what this was about.
there today?
Yeah. That's what the November 18th, 2020 meeting was dealing with, was the fact that you had done something that was illegal, and that it had to be dealt with. So, the minutes of what's said is that you needed to come back here with an after-the-fact notice of intent to see if this commission would grant you a variance on the work that you had done. And we can find no record that that ever happened.
Okay.
So,
So what do you want to do? Let's give him a solution.
what I'm thinking is combining the
Garage.
after the fact that was never done with your current plan here, but incorporating much more remediation along the riverbank and border of vegetated wetlands to come back out almost to the 65 feet, which is now hard packed gravel going down where you have what looks like almost gallows where you lift your heavy equipment. That would have to move out of there.
Isn't that on the left side of the house that you're facing?
No, it's on the right, all the way down the hill.
Okay.
It's behind the stockade fence. So what I would suggest, and this is from me, I want input from both Curtis and Dave, our members here were on the site visit as well today, and I believe it was the first time on the property looking at it. So I want their input on it as well. My recommendation is that we kill two birds with one stone and fix the issues that were apparent almost 3 years ago, and combine them with your garage as proposed right now. So the remediation area that you've indicated here is nice, but is in order to cover the after the fact notice of intent from 2020 that was never done. We have to do both at once. So, does anybody have any other suggestions, comments?
I didn't see it, I'll leave it to you.
Well, when we went out there and looked at it today, it seemed that it would be reasonable to get rid of the gravel parking area up to the 65 BBW and make that all a planted area to restore the wetlands.
Put some trees or something.
That was
store to.
That seemed to be a reasonable thing, and the whole property though is in the 200-foot area zone also.
Yeah, but we can give them a break on the riverfront, but.
Right. So if they did that at a 2-to-1 ratio, right, that's the idea in repairing zones?
You want to have him, am I correct? You want to have him back off all the way to the 65?
Not.
Is he using this piece of gravel parking area now?
Yes.
So you want to have him kick back all the way to the 65?
A good portion of it, because that was the original violation.
Why couldn't he go down to this existing wood chipped area and replicate there?
I'd like to actually go right.
Because it's all trees.
I'd like to go right down, follow that line and replant. I was talking to Brad about doing more of that. I'd like that all to be woods again. Now
It's a
that
big
all
chunk.
got eaten up, and it's a big
I
area.
don't know, maybe it's, I didn't see it. That's an awful lot of area.
And I gotta get some of the trees are dying. One fell on, you know, the fence where the garage wants to go. So I'm gonna have to ask at some point to, it's a lot of the smaller ones, like 4 or 6 inch trees. So it will have to be thinned out anyways, and maybe I can replant in there along the rest of the wood chip area.
I understand. Thank you. I appreciate that. We've got two things going on here. We've got the bordering vegetated wetlands, and we also have the riverfront, both of which require the filtration that a root system gives for any kind of runoff. And right now, you've got a pretty steep slope going down it. It's all gravel. I've not seen your place in a downpour, but I would imagine that you've got a little bit of erosion that happens, or at least water going down towards there. So that water needs to be cleansed before it hits the wetlands and before it hits the river. While I understand what you're indicating, Mr. Germain, about the size of that, the size of that goes back to the original complaint, which needed a after-the-fact variance.
I get it.
And I think that had there not been any talk about a garage, that would have been the solution that we came up with at that time. I would like you guys to go back to the drawing board and see what we come up with.
Garage is only in the 100.
Hmm?
Garage is only in the 100.
I'm not, yes, the garage, where it's placed right now, just needs our permission. There's no variance needed for the garage.
Even though it's within the 200 foot?
No, it needs our permission.
Needs a permission, doesn't need a variance.
No, not a variance. The 65 is the only thing that needs a variance. So really, what we need to deal with is the after-the-fact variance that wasn't requested in 2020 in combination with the asking for permission for building the garage.
Yeah.
What I'd like you to do is go back and see if you can come up with something that's really going to, help repair that riverfront area and that wetlands bordering the wetlands. And that will take care of this outstanding notice of intent after the fact NOI, and then we can also work on the garage. What I would like to see on the plans that's not here, and it's something I noticed today when we were looking, I thank you for staking out the garage and painting, that was very helpful. But about 2/3 of the front of the garage heading down that slope, the driveway started sloping. So there was no indication of grading, how that's going to work. I assume that you would want it flat in front of your garage.
Yeah.
So what I would like to have is the terrain indicated on the
Yeah, existing, finished grades.
Yeah.
Topo.
Yeah. I think that I don't know how quickly you can do this. Our next scheduled meeting is the 7th of June, which is 3 weeks.
I think we would go for the meeting after that, by the time we coordinate.
Okay, that would be the 21st. We meet on the first and third Wednesdays. So June 21st, first day of summer.
We will take a look at the aerial imagery and then do some comparison, come back.
Yeah, I mean, it's
restoration area.
pretty clear. There's a lot of green there, and it no longer.
But if it's going to require a variance and he's filing an NOI, he's still got to notify abutters.
Well, we've notified abutters for this, but I mean, as far as the variance, all we're doing in the 65 will be restoration activities. Would we need a variance request?
I already put a newspaper ad, there was a variance
Okay.
line in it.
Okay,
All right, so that I think covers it.
okay,
Yeah, it says it,
I don't think we have to do
it
anything.
says it
Okay.
in the agenda too.
okay, great.
Okay.
Right.
So you covered.
Thank you.
And it's yet another 24 by 29 inch garage in Carver.
Well, because of the way the zoning
I
laws
know, there are an
are.
awful lot of them. All right, thank you.
Frankly, the zoning bylaws are ridiculous. A 700 square foot garage is a waste of time.
You're welcome. No, that's so you have it, that's for your record, because that's public record, it's yours.
That's okay. Listen, we are on the board and we don't understand half this stuff.
Okay.
that what you do that in? Small garages, a waste of time. Okay, go ahead there,
Moving on,
Tonto.
new public hearings, 213 Meadow Street, NOI DEP file SE 126666. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, citation 9.3, that a public hearing will be held at 7:00 p.m. on Wednesday, May 17th, in meeting room number 1 at the Carver Town Hall to hear the after-the-fact notice of intent submitted by Red Meadow LLC for the construction of a farm stand and improvements to a crushed stone parking lot within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland and bordering land subject to flooding. The project work is also within the 65-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland and bordering land subject to flooding protected under the Carver bylaw and will require variance from the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw. This project is located at 213 Meadow Street, Carver, map 82, lot 1-B. All interested parties are invited to attend. Hi, how are you
Thank
tonight?
you, Mr. Chairman. Very well. Seems to be a run on these types of projects this evening.
Yes, you can
So-
see how happy we are about that.
Understood. And so, the description in the legal ad is pretty accurate, but so we are here. We did file a notice of intent requesting that the farm stand structure and the crushed stone that's out there that I understand you maybe had a chance to do a site visit earlier today. So we're asking for those features to be approved with the variance. The resource areas are the BVW, which is the cranberry bog, and bordering land subject to flooding, which in this case has no elevation assigned. So with respect to the 65-foot no touch and the the separation to BVW, that's to Red Meadow LLC, it's their own cranberry bogs. You can see from the site plan that the farm stand was placed as close to Meadow Street as possible for what it's worth, protection for the resource area. You'll see existing grading on the plans, and you won't see any proposed grading on the plans because the intent is to maintain existing grades, just put an additional layer of crushed stone down. There's a desire to have one handicap space and a stabilized stone dust, which is permeable path into the farm stand. The farm stand sits on a sill, or do you have?
Skids.
Skids.
It sits on skids. You can pick it up and move it, which is why I don't even know why this is before us.
Because it's 4,000 square feet of fill. You can't do fill
Right.
beyond the building.
It's stone.
It doesn't matter, it's considered fill, DEP.
Okay.
And he agreed with me.
Okay, yeah, so, I understand,
Looks nice, by the way.
It does.
Looks great.
so I understand he's had some prior interactions with the commission and certainly with the agent and.
I think that was my comment then, too.
Same comment. And so we don't want to be filling, irrespective of the fact that the flood zone doesn't have an elevation assigned. We want to maintain the existing grades, but just provide the pervious crushed stone surface, for the limited amount of vehicles, seasonal, as it would be for a farm stand. And, this area has been the access to the bogs and to the home on the property for quite some time. And I believe, to my knowledge, it's just previous to the farm stand, it was just a sort of a grassed area, a buffer between the street and the cranberry bog. And so we did notify abutters, I believe.
Yeah, I received.
I have the originals if you want them, but.
Yeah, when you're done.
And so, I'll just leave the remaining time to your pleasure for questions.
I'll let him beat you up. I think it looks great.
We went out there today, the three of us were there along with Gary, our agent, and...
Field trip.
And looked at it. And what?
Nothing.
Does anybody have any comments?
We just had some discussion about the building itself. We sort of decided that it's agricultural and it's an agricultural accessory building, so we really didn't really have a problem with that. And then apparently, though, it's also, I guess we could consider it a hardship to you because you can't put it anywhere else, right? I mean, farm stand on your property, right? And that's the only place you can put it. That's trying to justify it as to why we're letting this happen, right?
That was the ideal spot. When
Yeah.
we met originally with the building inspector, I had asked if that spot was potentially possible, right? And tried to go through and make sure that I got all the necessary permits with the permitting department, and also asked what groups I needed to speak with in order to get it approved. So that was the original intent, though I had other sites on the property as potential secondary or third options. This was just, right on the street. We want to make it a beautiful building for people to come and get, fresh fruits and vegetables, as suggested. So that was why we selected that site, was because we got approval from the building inspector to put it there and even remove vegetation that was on the front of that piece.
Right, and I believe that in the case of your discussions with the building inspector, you were led to believe that that was all you needed.
Correct.
So there's that as a...
Well, that's why there's electric in there.
Extenuating circumstances.
It's non-taxable
And you
building.
did put that,
And a signage permit as well.
Right,
and you did put that in your letter that you sent to us.
Correct.
Yeah.
right. So, I mean, basically, as Dave said, it is an agricultural use building. The amount of gravel does put it into our jurisdiction, but the gravel driveway is most likely going to do less damage to that ground than if it were just dirt and mud.
I'd much rather see the stone than I'm going to see gravel.
So
Gravel's going to create a whole bunch of dust that's going to settle down on all your vegetables and everything else. It's ridiculous. Then what are you going to go out there and wet the driveway down when it gets dusty?
and it would.
That's crazy.
You have an indoor farm stand, so that whatever was out there wet would be tracked in.
That's correct.
Sorry. I think that.
I think you did everything right. I think you were misled on the part about conservation, but I don't see that as an issue. Frankly, it's a portable building.
Yeah.
You cut the power line to it, you pick it up and you move it somewhere else. So there's no foundation underneath it. It can go, you're not even taxed on it because it's not a permanent structure. There's no cement pad.
Yeah.
The only thing that's tying it to the ground technically is the electrical box.
Yeah.
That's really it. And it's a great place to put it because it's the least, your customers that have the least problem coming out onto Meadow Street because it's not on the corner. You've got some pretty good sight in both directions to pull in and out of it. I think it looks great.
Just to comment on that too, our farm is, our intention, our goal with the farm is to be really sustainable or reach a sustainability point, right? So that was fully intended for it to be on skids so that it could be fully removable and obviously anything that you do to the environment from an agricultural standpoint is, harm to the environment, right, as it stands. But it was intended to not be a permanent structure there because if we do need to move it for whatever reason, we want to make sure that it's presentable when it's there. But, if it needs to move for whatever reason because of work that needs to happen between us or the abutter 80 meg piece, that needs to be something that's, easily cut, as you mentioned.
Sure.
Right.
So really, we just need a variance for the gravel, the fill, basically, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
You don't need a
that's
variance for the building, you just need a variance for the, and I don't even agree with the variance for the material, but you say that's the case.
It's
so.
a DEP.
Well, the thing is too, is everyone
Stone
understood
come out of the ground.
that, it's the work that was done without coming in to talk to us.
Right.
That's mostly what it's for.
But does it really need a variance?
Yes, it's within the 65 foot.
Yes, it does.
It's right on the bog, the edge of the bog.
But it's their bog.
It doesn't matter.
We get back into this.
It's our
See, we get back into
easement.
this private property stuff. Don't even get me started.
Our position would be that, so we're correcting an error, whether it's procedural or...
Right, this is for the record.
Yes.
I think it's more of a feel-good moment, to tell you the truth.
Well, if we had come in and there was absolutely nothing there, and we came in and presented this project, we would expect a positive outcome, I
Yeah,
think.
well, at least for me.
Yeah. Okay, is there anybody from any abutters? All right, seeing none.
Motion to close the hearing.
Second?
For, easy. 213 Meadow Street, DEPSC 126666. I don't like that number.
That's what it is.
I know.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to close the hearing on SC 126666. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. It's approved 4-0.
So you want to approve the NOI and then approve
Yes.
the variance?
Yes, please.
Anybody else want to make that motion?
Motion to approve the NOI?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right. Then moved and seconded to approve the NOI for SC 126666. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none.
Okay, I'll do
4-0.
Motion to approve a variance for 213 Meadow Street, NOI DEPSC 126666.
Second?
Second.
First,
For
second.
the, only for the gravel, am I correct? Only for the,
For work done. For
For
work
work
done.
done.
Just work, just
For
work.
work done, all right, work done within the 65, that'll work.
Right. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the variance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nope.
Hearing none. That's 4-0.
That was easy.
We would like to have one of the plans signed.
Yeah, he's got, you want to do that one, Gav?
Thank you very much. It does look good.
Unless someone signs real big.
What are you selling over there?
Sign right there on David.
Might as well get a plug-in while you're at it. What are you selling?
Sure. Cranberries, honey, so we peat bees. We're gonna do fresh fruits and vegetables like berries. I have fruit trees, so apples, pears, nectarines, cherries. So a little of everything, mostly cranberries though. And we're gonna be doing agritourism, which we conducted last year on the property too with permits. So
Was it successful?
very.
Yeah, awesome.
We're doing some like get into the bogs with waiters kind of events for the public.
213 Meadow Street, when are you opening?
We'll see. Depends on how quickly we can get this open now. But my goal is as soon as possible.
Gina loved that, it's right around the corner.
Yeah?
Yep.
Nice Sunday afternoon
Yeah,
walk.
she loves all that tree bark stuff.
I don't want to.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Yeah, good luck. Thank you. Okay. Next up, we have lot 1, 2, and 3 on 0 Center Street. I'm going to read we'll hear these all at once. We'll vote on them separately. But-
That's a good idea because it's all the exact same
Yeah,
language.
so I'm just going to read it once and I'll just add the lot. NOI DEP file SD 126 667, 668, and 669. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Citation 9.2, that a public hearing will be held at 7:00 p.m. on Wednesday, May 17, 2023, in meeting room number 1 at the Carver Town Hall to hear the notice of intent submitted by JLK Realty and Development, LLC, for the grading associated with the construction of a single-family dwelling within the 100-foot buffer zone to an isolated land subject to flooding. This project is located at 0 Center Street, Carver, Massachusetts, map 70, parcel 5, lot 1. Parcel 2, this is to hear the notice of intent submitted by JLK Realty and Development for the grading, retaining wall, driveway, and well associated with the construction of a single-family dwelling within the 100-foot buffer zone. This project is located at 0 Center Street, Carver, Massachusetts, parcel 5, map 70, parcel 5, lot 2. And on map 70, parcel 5, lot 3, we have to hear the notice of intent submitted by JLK Realty and Development LLC for the grading and deck associated with the construction of a single-family dwelling with a 100-foot buffer zone to an isolated land subject to flooding. The project work is also within the 65-foot buffer zone to an isolated land subject to flooding protected under the Carver bylaw and will require a variance from the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw. This project is located at 0 Center Street, Carver, map 70, parcel 5, lot 3. All interested parties are invited to attend. So we've got all three up on deck. They're a little bit different, but let's start with number 1.
Okay, excuse me, good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Pull the microphone a little closer. Thank you.
For the record, my name is Bob Rigo, I'm with Riverhawk Environmental. Here tonight to present the project on behalf of the Realty Trust. This was formerly a larger parcel in between Old Center Street and Center Street. We recently subdivided into 3 lots, and these are the 3 lots that are here tonight. There's an existing abandoned bog that's in the central portion of the 3 lots. That lot was delineated by Brad Holmes of ECR, and we filed an ANRAD and then subsequently received an ORAD from the commission for the delineation of wetlands, so those wetland lines have been set, I guess. The first lot, lot 1, is construction of a single-family dwelling. Oh, that just turned on. Septic system, associated utilities with the single-family dwelling on the easterly side of Old Center Street. The only work that's being is within the jurisdiction of the commission on that particular lot is there's some limited grading that's between the 65 and the 100-foot buffer zone to the isolated land subject to flooding. The closest point is about 70.5 feet away from where our erosion control and limited work is. And there'll be some limited grading with the septic system in the rear of the dwelling. And that's really all for that particular one.
Yeah, I don't see much going on with that.
No, we've been up there and it looks, you did a nice job keeping everything away from.
Thank you.
And thanks for staking out the
Buffers.
the houses.
No problem, yep, no problem.
That helps a lot.
We wondered how you were gonna do this when we did the last site visit.
Yeah.
So.
We wondered where the one house was going to go.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, why are these so loud all of a sudden? You turn these down?
I
They got very loud.
Yeah, it's almost feedback.
think it was because I'm so quiet, maybe.
Well, usually I don't need a microphone at all. Blame my mother. Is this the one that's on the corner by the power lines, or is that
The power lines are just at the bottom of that.
That's what I
This is
thought.
the one by the power line.
Because we were looking at that before.
It's right next to where we park.
I know exactly what you were talking about. So I don't see any issue with this at all, except some grading down toward that, which is now really, you can call it an abandoned cranberry bog. To me, it looks like a forest.
Right.
It's all grown up now.
Yeah, with beautiful trees
No,
out.
you did a nice job on this one.
You know?
The only thing we just put some signage along the bottom, right, along the 65, right?
We still gotta turn that microphone down. We're getting feedback over here.
Yours?
Yeah, mine, Gary,
Yeah, these are all pretty
they're
loud.
all too loud.
Turn them all down.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. That's better.
Yeah, that's better, a little bit. Okay. Does anybody else have any comments on this? We visited it today.
Maybe just a couple of wetland signs, that's all.
Want a
We can-
couple signs
we
out?
can- Well, we can work that to the whole project and have them equally spaced when we look at the whole thing and see if it's
Right.
gonna need 6 or 7 signs and just...
Well, one of the lots is on the other side on Center Street. This is
Oh,
on
okay.
Old.
So
So
these two lots together.
Correct.
Whatever
And
we
then the
ask
other
you to do, just carry that signage around the corner to the other lot.
Absolutely.
How far apart do we usually put those signs anyway? Is there?
There's
No.
really no rule of thumb. If it's pretty obvious, I mean, you can put them every, 15 feet or something like that. It's not like they gotta be every
Right.
8 inches.
Right.
One thing you don't show here is the tree line. Where do you expect to leave the tree line around these?
It would be at the base of where the grading's shown, so, you know, probably
So,
gonna be about 80 feet away from the wetlands is,
okay, and would that be all, almost parallel with the 65 all the way across?
it would generally be, yes, yeah, because there's grading with the house and then with the septic, and that's pretty much gonna put it right around 80 feet.
And what about on the southerly border? Are you going to clear all the way to the property line there as well? Adjacent to the power lines?
No, I mean, we'll leave every possible tree on there.
Okay,
just
that's really what
because
I'm getting
we
at,
want to
'cause-
screen from those big power lines, so
Right.
certainly the developer's going to really want to keep those trees for many purposes. One, protection of the wetlands, the other, to screen those, whatever's there to.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the need for a yard, but, you know, the more things that we can keep within the 100-foot, the better. And I know on the southern boundary, that's outside of our jurisdiction, but, you know, that's a little steeper anyway. So.
I don't understand the need for the variance.
There's
Not
no
on this one.
variance on
There's no
this one.
variance on this.
Until you read, okay.
On
One of
lot
them
three.
does not, this
Lot
one.
three has a
That
variance.
just means an okay.
All right, so, any abutters here? No.
All
Okay,
right, so let's just leave this, and we'll go to the next one,
okay,
and then we'll go to the last one.
okay.
And then we can close the hearing on all three, and then approve the individual NOIs and anything else that needs a variance, or
Okay.
we can address at that point.
All right,
And we don't have to start all over.
fine, let's go with two.
Okay? We still gotta turn those mics down a little bit.
Yeah.
Never hear savory echo. Thank you. Okay, lot two.
Lot two.
So lot two, we're looking for a little tiny bit of the deck in the 100,
Yep,
and it looks like the back corner of the garage is right at the 100.
yep, and there's a dry well.
There's a dry well
See
also.
the
And
driveway?
grading.
See that? Should be the same thing, we would ask that you keep the wetland signs, I don't know, maybe what, probably like maybe 4, and
Yeah,
then just
it could
equally
be.
space them, and then
Yep,
something like that.
yeah, I would put 4 across the back there.
Do you want me to put in the conditions that the tree line stays at the 65 foot?
In this particular one,
Yeah.
yes.
Because, you know, the grading's right there, but just
Yeah.
so they don't keep.
Right, in the previous one, you know, it should be under conditions as close to the 100-foot as possible.
Correct.
Because there's a little bit more of a backyard there.
Yep.
Right.
But this one, yeah, I would keep the tree line at the 65-foot.
This looks pretty good,
Or
too.
greater.
Again, you did a really nice job of keeping everything.
Yeah, this has made makes our life
Makes
a
it
little
really
easier.
easy, you know, for everybody.
Great, thank you.
Okay. All right, does anybody have any questions on this? No? And no abutters? Okay. All right, so now we'll move on to number 3, and this is the one that requires the variance.
Do you need to see the plan for this? It's the same thing, lot 3 and lot 3.
This is the one, the well is,
Are you two gentlemen here for this particular one? Are you abutters for this lot right here?
No, I think they're students.
Oh, they're students, oh, okay.
They're spying on us. Here we go.
Okay, that's a little better, yeah. You know.
Is it because?
Okay, so now we're looking at number 3.
What we do with this one, I was out.
Excuse
Okay,
me.
the third one's a no, because we never give 3 in a row.
3 in a row.
The second one, no one had any issues with it, so we moved on, and then we'll do all of it. All right, so this one,
I guess I don't see the variance necessary.
Only for the well.
the well,
The well.
Yeah,
it's up right under your pen.
it's 25.8 to the.
Oh, I
to the
see it over
edge
there.
of the wetland. That's an existing, when you drive down the road, that's kind of an existing grassed area that just
It's
drains.
sand.
It's almost dirt. It's
Yeah.
almost
So we're
dirt.
allowing,
Dirt.
this is only a variance for the well?
Yes,
Yep, that's it.
yeah.
And the water line associated with the well, yeah.
Yes, the well and and the water.
But
two
that
houses.
whole area's already been disturbed.
But there's a
basically.
It's
little
all
bit of,
disturbed,
there's
yeah, it
a little bit of a concrete driveway in a 100-foot,
I see it.
and also the dry well.
Where's the wall going? Was there a wall?
That's on the second one.
Oh, I must have missed everything. I must have been like out of town.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so again.
Trying to fix microphones, I'm sorry. So you get a little tiny bit of concrete driveway in the 100, you're asking for a variance for the well, and that's pretty much it.
That's correct.
Again, nice job.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
the,
think- I
and the
think-
dry well. is
Yeah, I
not-
think you stuffed it as best you could, I really do.
Yeah, you did a nice job on this also, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This home seems to be up, perched pretty high on that little knoll there.
Yeah, it's kind of into the side of the hill, trying to work with the existing
Oh,
topography.
okay.
And it's a drive under, so the garage under.
That's what I thought.
Oh, okay, now I get it. That makes sense.
The only other thing you could have done would have been to turn the house a little bit, which would have gotten this section out, but it's not like it needs a variance, so that's no big deal.
No,
And it looks
it's-
good
we-
parallel to the street. I hate houses that are crooked to the street anyways. Well, it looked like somebody made a mistake, you know what I mean? They couldn't measure.
We should
Maybe
put that
they
in the
made a
bylaw.
mistake with the road.
Well, that would be my guess, because, you know, that's usually state-run stuff. God
Okay.
forbid they get anything right.
All right, so anyway, so on this
I'm
one,
good with this.
again, everything was marked. It was, the corners of the building were flagged. Everything's pretty clear. The drawings are great. They've got everything that we need here. Does anybody have any other comments on this?
How many signs would you like placed out there?
Oh,
Where do you want them?
You know-
There's no tree line.
There's no tree line there.
So they put signs up there, they put posts in to put the signs on,
Yeah,
right?
well,
Put a,
that's-
just a couple. I mean, it really,
Maybe one at each corner. One here and one over the other side at the 65.
Okay.
Two signs.
You know what I mean?
Yep, two signs.
One,
Yeah.
one coming off the corner of that driveway so you'd see it
Yep.
at the 65, and one maybe down the other end coming off the corner of the house going back to the 65.
yeah, near where you have
Stick
your
a sign
drainage
there.
swale.
And then maybe a half a dozen or so, or maybe 8 of them across the back of the other two
Yeah, I
properties.
made notes on that. Okay.
Okay. All right, so I will entertain a motion to close
Nobody,
the,
no butters?
no, to close the hearing on all three of these NOIs.
Make a motion to close the hearing. You ready, Ashley? Make a motion to close the hearing for 0 Old Center Street, Lot 1, SE 126667, Lot 2, SE 126668, and Lot 3, 126669.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve,
Close.
To close.
the
to
hearing.
close the hearing on NOI SE 126667, 668, and 669. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. It's 4-0. All right, now I'll entertain a motion to
Motion to approve
the NOI for,
the NOI for 0 Old Center Street, SE 126667, 68, and 69, lots 1, 2, and 3.
let's do them separately. Let's do the NOI separately because they have a slightly different values to them.
Different things.
Different things
going
with
on.
them. So let's do the,
Dry wells and retaining.
All right, we'll
let's do the
All
NOI separately.
right, lot 1, SE 126667.
All right, do I have a
Motion to
second?
approve, right? Second.
Yeah.
Motion to
All right.
approve the NOI.
It's been moved and excuse me, seconded to approve the NOI for 126667, Lot 1, 0.
Well, we're gonna do
Old Center
that,
Street.
excuse me, let me just, let's define this then. As drawn on the plan dated, sorry, usually I do that. There's no revision.
Well, lot 1 is May 1st.
Okay, yeah. Oh, I see April 5th. Oh,
That's for lot
I'm
2.
sorry. Lot 3,
May
sorry,
1st.
sorry.
And May 1.
Don't shoot me. May 1st, 2023.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the 0 Old Center Street, Lot 1, 126667, and the plans May 1st, 2023. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it's approved 4-0. All right, I'll entertain a motion for Lot 2.
Make a motion to approve the NOI for Lot 2, 0 Old Center Street, SE 126668, on the plan dated April 5th, 2023, as drawn.
I have the,
We have to put in the fact the drywall's in the 100-foot.
No, you're approving the NOI as drawn.
Oh, the NOI is drawn, okay.
This is April 5th, Lot 2.
all right, I'm looking at the certificate. What do we go with?
You go with the plan date.
The plan date,
So it's
okay.
the April, it's the
All right, April 5th, all right. All right, it's been, do I have a second?
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve the NOI for 0 Center Street, Lot 2, 0 Old Center Street, Lot 2, NOI DEP file SE 126668, based on the plans drawn on April 5th, 2023. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. That's approved 4-0. All right, now, this one requires a variance as well.
Right, but just going to get an approval first.
Yep, we'll do the NOI first.
NOI, make a motion to approve the NOI for Lot 3, 0 Old Center Street, SE 126669, on the, as drawn on the plan dated May 1st, 2023.
Do I have a second?
Second, yeah.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Before we do that, let me just ask a question. Here's this. And I don't know if this is important or not. The address on this is 0 Old Center Street, when in fact this is on Center Street. Does it make a difference? No? Okay. Just want to make sure.
Center Street, that's going to be the
Because
plan we use.
the proper tax map and lot numbers on it.
Okay.
That nails it down.
Okay, very good. So, it's been moved and seconded to approve the NOI for 0 Old Center Street, Lot 3, DEP file SE 126669. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it's approved 4-0. Now I need a,
Make a motion to approve the variance for Lot 3, SE 126669, Old Center Street, as drawn on the plan May 1st, 2023, allowing the well in the 65.
do I have a second?
Second.
All right, it has been moved and seconded to grant a variance for 0 Old Center Street, Lot 3, DEP SE 126669, for putting in a well within the 65-foot. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is approved 4-0.
And I would also want to make note that in the order of conditions, that for lots 1 and 2, we do the wetlands signs. I'll leave it up to your discretion as to how many, 6, 7, 8 across that entire double stretch. And then on lot 3, perhaps just 2 signs, one off the corner of the garage closest to the 65 and one off the corner of the house at the 65.
I'd like to amend that and put a third one out by Center Street.
Okay.
So we'll do
want 3?
3, yeah. One at Center Street, one where at the corner sort of where the driveway is, and one at the base of the drainage swale that they're going to carve out.
Okay.
All right?
Oh, Savory, too, to answer your comment, the plan set also says for Lot 3, Old Center Street.
Okay.
So all the paperwork said that.
Okay. That's lot 1.
Lot 3, you can
Lot
just
1.
do it there or there.
Okay.
This is
lot
lot
2.
2.
My time stamped on that, so.
Okay.
That was easy.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
It's gonna be Old Center Street.
Yeah, they're all Old Center.
It's all gonna stay Old Center Street.
Thank you.
This is 667,
Okay.
668.
You guys are efficient.
I'm waiting on 669. What was that sock? That your sock on the ground over there?
In
There's a
terms,
sock on the ground. Do you leave a sock? There's a sock.
in terms of the posts and the placards,
They're 2,500 apiece. You can pay them with cash.
hey, it's.
Go see Gary in the afternoon.
They can, whatever it is.
My
I'll
last
pass it
name's
on to the club.
FLAH.
No checks?
Yeah, just talk to Gary about where they should be and
Yeah.
the type and.
We're leaving it up to him. We got little ones and...
I'll make a 8.5 by 11 copy of one of the plans, and I'll do X marks the spots. How's that?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah,
Th-
and-
This builder is very.
Yeah, you
very
can
good
put them on a
about
round
doing things
post, you
right.
can put them on a square post, you can, if there's, happen to be a tree right there, I think we can hang them on a tree.
If they put a split rail fence back
put 'em
there,
on a fence
right,
post.
You can put them on the post.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Thank you.
And this is
Thank you very
669.
much.
Thank you very much. Everything was great. It makes our jobs very easy when everything's like
Did
that.
a nice job over there.
Yep. Yeah, everything's outside our area, and everything was well marked on site.
Did we do the variance already?
Yeah, we did.
We did that? Oh, yeah, we did that, yeah.
Confirm the signs are 6 to 8 across lots 1 and 2, and 3 signs on lot 3, one at Center Street, one place at the corner of the driveway, and one place down
One
the other end.
at the corner of the garage.
Yes.
You got
At
it.
the corner
Well,
of the
the driveway
garage,
and the garage are the
nearest to
same.
65.
So not,
Right.
Not the driveway, at the corner of the garage that's nearest to 65.
Okay.
You're welcome. I make a motion to approve the minutes as written for April 19, 2023.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and second to approve the minutes of April 19th, 2023. All those in favor say aye.
Aye?
Any opposed? Hearing none. At our next meeting, do we have anything scheduled for June 7th?
As of right now, no.
As of right now, no. So stay tuned. We may have a break.
can you confirm on that email, because I don't get notified.
You know, you told me that before, and I keep forgetting.
I show up and I'm like, oh, cool, no care.
Well, you know we have a FinCom on the 8th.
All right, I'll have to make a group instead of just clicking in everyone's name.
Well, I don't know why you don't do that. I
Well-
just click Concom, and it all goes to all of you.
One of us.
Do
You're
FinCom,
way ahead of me.
Select Board.
Way ahead of me.
Motion to adjourn?
No, hold on one sec. I just want to say that whenever we do meet again, we have to reorganize.
That's right.
And so that should be on the agenda for whatever our next
All right.
meeting, if you can
It's
just
always first
make
on
it.
the agenda, Gary,
Yep.
so we can boot them out as fast as we can.
So now I'll entertain.
Motion to adjourn?
In a second.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and second to adjourn for the evening. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we're out.
Adios.
Thank you, Area 58.